In this video, we're going to look at an answer for Lab 5.1. In Lab 5.1, I asked you to go through and create an application that holds a table of data, allow people to add more rows to the table, and then save the data to a file. So I'm going to start by copying the instructions and making a new Python file and a Module 5 project. I don't see the project window over here. So down here at the bottom there's a little window button, and I'll show that. There we go. Now I've already made the Module 5 project earlier. You've seen me make projects in the previous video, so hopefully that makes sense. I'm going to go ahead and add a new Python file, and I'll call it lab 5-1. And I'll start by putting in the instructions like we've done previously. And that way they're kind of handy for me to work with. The next step will be to go ahead and take some data I want to store. And I'll clean it up a little bit here. Now I've just held down the Alt button and I've left click and scrolled upwards. You can see that it's flashing on a bunch of different rows. I'm going to go ahead and put a quote there, and you'll see that it goes ahead and puts them on all those rows, which is handy. Let me do it again. Hold down the Alt button, left click and drag. Now, as far as I know, this only works on Windows, so sorry about that, Mac users. If there may be a way of doing it in Mac, I wouldn't be surprised. This will save me a little bit of time. Alt, drag, and see if it's ragged on the right hand side. It still works. Okay. Now I'll just go ahead and lst row equals, and I want row 1, 2, 3. You know, perhaps I should start off at 0 based, since the system's going to. Now we've got that, but I don't have a table yet, so I'm going to create the table. Oops, and I forgot to put square brackets. Can't believe it. If I don't put square brackets in, it will pack it as a tuple. So let me resolve that. Alt, left click, square bracket, Alt, left click and drag, square bracket. Cool. And I'll put in list 1. I'm using the left hand, oops. Actually, I'll go ahead and put those in. I'm using control button and left click and drag. And I've got my list. So that's the first step. Let's see, create an application that uses a list to hold the following data. Got the data in there. Actually, you know what? I wonder if I should add a header. One, two, three. And here will be ID, name, and email. Yeah, I kind of like that better. And I'll print out the data just to make sure that it looks the way I expect it to, but for no other good reason. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about that. So I'm on to the next stage, which is actually, I don't like the way that presents its information, but it's all right. Which is to add a loop that lets the user keep adding rows. Oops, I'm sorry. Add code that lets the user append a new row of data. That's the one I want to do next. Maybe I should actually go through and use my little pseudocode here. Okay, next would be let's see about collecting some data. So I want to get data from the users. I'll do it this way. Let's see here. And I suppose that should be recognized as an integer, so I'll go ahead and pick it up as an integer. Although there are some rules about, well, let's not go into that. Okay, that should pick up the first item. Next would be str name. That will be a string, and it already does a string, so I'll put in name. Next would be email. Okay, that would allow me to collect 3 bits of information to make a row of data. And then I'll just make a new list. And we get the list, but I haven't appended it yet, so let's go ahead and take the table, append our list. And let's print it out. And see what it looks like. What are you complaining about here? Yep. Input equals. Oh, I see. Sorry guys, I was programming in C# yesterday. C#, that would be the syntax for converting it to a integer, where you put the parentheses around that in front. The C-style languages do that. With this language, you have to do this. You probably spotted it, but when I switch languages, it gets confusing. They're similar, but as you can see, different. Okay, seems to be happy with it now. Let's see if it runs. So at the end, I should have my new row of data. Oop. Well, once I get the ID in there. So let's see, before. And it seems to be working. Excellent. On to the next feature. Okay, next I need to add a loop that allows the user to continue to keep adding rows. I'll just use the while loop. And we'll ask the user if they want to continue. Something a little simpler. How about add more data? So that'll ask them if they want to add more data, and then we'll check to see whether or not they say yes. And let me convert that over to lowercase so that it won't matter. And if they say yes, we will continue. Otherwise, oops. You know what? I think I want the default to be yes. So if they put in anything else but. Now I could make it so that if they type in no, now if I do it this way, I'll ask the question multiple times. So I guess I need to ask that outside of here. I was trying to get kind of sneaky there and put it all in one spot. But you know what? I really don't care much about any other answer. So if they just type in type exit to end, I think this will be just simpler. Okay, input type exit to end. If they type in anything else other than the word exit, it won't break out, it will continue. If they do type in exit, whether it's uppercase, lowercase, or mixed, it's going to go ahead and break out the loop. At least that's the theory anyway. When it breaks out of the loop, I want to see what the table looks like. So put the print statement down there. Yeah, let's see how it works. Let's see, currently there is just 3. So 4, hit anything else, so I'm just going to hit enter. 5 and exit. Let's see what we got. Yep, it's not pretty, but it worked. Excellent. On to the next phase. Okay, our next step is ask the user if they want to save the data to a file when they exit the loop. Okay, we can do that. I think I'll copy both of these. Okay, how about a string answer? And if they say yes, and actually let's make it I think that'll be a better prompt. Okay, str save to file. If that comes in as, let's lower it, a yes, we will go ahead and write to the file, else print out data not saved. I think I'll just print this for right now, because I want to talk a little bit about this option. So let's see here. I think I want this a little bit fancier. Yeah, let's see what that looks like before I go any further. So, run it. Would you like to save this data to a file? And, you know, it looks like I need a parenthesis there to make it look nice. Yes, no. Not sure I like the single quotes. I might just take those off. Okay, let's try yes. Data saved. Don't like the way that looks either. Okay, let's make it look a little nicer. So, what part did I like? I didn't like the way this looked. And I want another parenthesis there. I want to make this look a little nicer. And hopefully that looks better. The following data was saved to a file. Yeah, I like that better than it was. I think I can get rid of this line here, which was just for testing. Now, it's a matter of actually going through and, if they say yes, saving the data to a file. So let me do that. And I'll use an explicit path. You know, if you don't use an actual explicit path, you just put in the file name, in almost every language, the way it works is it will just write the data to the same folder as the script or executable file. Let's test this out. So I'm just going to go ahead and put in a file name right now. .txt. And I'm going to make it so that it just runs in write mode. Actually, I'll do a plain mode for this example. Okay, anything else? Oh, yeah, actually, I got to write the data. And I need to close that connection. Now, you may have seen in some of the other lessons, videos, and references that you can actually use the with clause, and it will force it to automatically close the connection. That's fine if you're doing that option. Works fine. I like to explicitly put in open and close, but that's a preference. Now let's see if it works. Let's see here. Must be string, not a list. Aha. So we're going to have to convert that over to a string. That's our next stop. Let's see. So I will try converting it to a string. Doggone C#. Let's try it this way. Looks like it worked. And if I come over here and look at the data, I should see it. Notice that the Python script file is here in this folder. If I hover up over the tab, I can see the path. I've deleted that file. I'll go ahead and run this again. And you'll see the file magically appears right next to the path, so it's relative to the script file, and you can see my data. Now I gotta say that the data is not in a very pleasing format, so it'll probably be a good idea for me to go through and make the format a little bit nicer. But we've met the requirements. To make it look a little bit nicer, I probably go through and for each item, I print out the actual row itself. And since I have a table, if I want to print out the individual items, I could actually go ahead and take out the square brackets by making a nested for loop. That might look a little bit nicer, give me more control. But I didn't really ask for that, so I think we're done at this point. Besides, this video is awful long. I think we got everything we need to make the exercise work. If you did it a different way, fantastic. Every time I do this exercise, I always come up with a different solution. It's always a little bit different. That's just kind of the way it is. What matters is the thought process of just going through and thinking it out step by step and building it. Hopefully these exercise videos kind of help with the way I break it down. And again, it's not necessarily the best way, it's just a way. Okay, that's it for this exercise. We're moving on to something a little bit different but similar. It's a collection of data, but this time it's in a name and value pair called a dictionary. I will see you in that video.